Hey, welcome back to another episode of LFG, your unfiltered favorite franchise education podcast. How's it going, Leanne?
Good. It's
Good.
going really good.
For those of you that don't know, Leanne Caruso, my host, and me, Michael Hyam. We have an awesome, amazing guest today, Jam Hashmi, CEO and co-founder at FranchiseSoft and CEO of Clicktecs. It is going to be a riveting episode filled with a wealth of information. How was your week, Leanne?
It was really good. I feel like this week was really busy, but I guess busy's good. And I'm excited to talk to Jam today. He's super smart guy. Known him for years. How was your week, Michael?
Oh, why, thank you for asking, Leanne.
Hey,
my week was good.
Did you have a birthday?
I did.
Oh,
I did.
And you don't even look a day older.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I did have a birthday. My 36th birthday. I hate to say it on air. But it was great. It was a good time. You know, it's always fun. I'm one of those people that likes to celebrate. So it was filled with lots of celebrations and a fun time all around.
Like you just keep getting younger.
You know, it's going to catch up with me one of these days.
We're officially out of Leo season then, I think, right?
Oh, that's right. I think that's it. That's done for August.
Mm-hmm.
Too bad. I should have wore a franchise assembly t-shirt with our lions. I guess that's why I have no lion here.
You have no lions because we're out of Leo season.
We're out of lion season. Yes.
Oh boy. So we have some exciting things coming up in September, which when this podcast airs, it's only a few days away, but we've got the Franchise Show Toronto and the Franchise Show Tampa coming up on the same weekend. So you, Michael, who lives in Toronto, and me, who lives in Tampa, who's going to be where?
You know, I wonder who does the planning of these events. Like, what's the matter with them?
maybe me, the blonde.
Putting two events on the same weekend. No offense. Right. I mean, I'm happier to be going to Tampa. I'm sure you're happy to be getting out of your hometown. But yes, like you said, we're actually doing the switch. I will be running our Tampa franchise show, and Leanne, it's great that you'll be coming to Toronto to promote Let's Grow Toronto. I mean, that's fun. That's unreal. Like the back and forth.
It's the weirdest thing, but I'm excited to go to Toronto. And I started off this year never having a plan to go to Toronto, and this will be my second time, and then I have one more time to go in November. So 3 times in Toronto this year.
3 times in Toronto. Wow.
Can I be an honorary Canadian?
Look at that. Yes.
Hey.
Oh my gosh, the cliche. No, it's not. You know what? I do find myself saying "a" every so often. I don't know.
Oh, you do definitely do.
Do I? Mm-hmm. I say "a"?
Well, you know, maybe a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you'll point it out the next time I say it, eh?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, maybe you don't. You just do the voice tilt at the end.
The voice tilt? Is that Canadians have a voice tilt?
Oh, Canadians have a voice tilt.
Well, okay, look at that. Yes, I suppose.
Yeah.
Maybe that's our British influence. I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway. Super looking
We've
forward
lost
to
everybody
the
already.
Franchise show, though, by the way. I mean, I love Florida. It's I mean, it's understandable why you want to live there, or why you do live there.
I know, but I'm just gonna miss seeing all my Tampa friends, franchise friends. We don't get you to Tampa often, so it's exciting when everybody's here. But I'm excited to go meet all the Canadians and talk to everyone about Let's Grow and visit the biggest franchise show in Canada.
There you go. Absolutely. Yeah, it is. It's insane. It's about 200 vendors. So
Wow.
it is ginormous. And yeah, it'll be fun to do the switcheroo. Don't worry, I'll say hi to everyone. I'll make sure they're all taken care of. I wonder if our flights cross at all. Maybe we'll or are we gonna see each other? No.
I don't know, maybe.
Anyways, let's get to it. Here's what's growing on. This segment is sponsored by Franchise Assembly, a franchise events company bringing resources and education to franchise brands and people. What's growing on is our announcements of our keynote speakers for Let's Grow Toronto. If you haven't signed up and you're a franchisor in Canada listening to this, you should be coming to Let's Grow. Everything and anything about franchise sales and growth and growing your system, strategies, tactics, what's working, what's not, but really everything all encompassing in packed into 2 days, marketing, legal, artificial intelligence, all those great things that'll assist you with selling more. So look that up on franchiseassembly.com. But we are super stoked to announce that Mark Cunningham is going to present a keynote presentation at Let's Grow Toronto. Of course, talking about leadership and overcoming adversity and all those things that have to do with starting your franchise and growing it. We have Gerardo from Microsoft head office, a very eloquent speaker, very knowledgeable. It was difficult to get him to come out from Microsoft, but we made it happen. That's awesome. And we have Brian Baisley. Brian, who you all should know in Toronto, is also coming to give a keynote presentation and a little bit of fun after that. Am I right, Leanne?
Yeah. For Brian?
No?
Brian?
Yeah. Are we not doing that session about fuck ups and tell me
Yeah.
about your fuck up?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what you were referring to.
Well,
Yeah, so
I think that's an amazing, fun seminar. He's going to talk, but then after talk about, hey, well, how did you
right.
mess up? And,
Yeah.
get people
Basically,
involved.
yeah, exactly. So basically growing, when you're growing your system, obviously you make a lot of mistakes. There's this effort. Well, I guess it's like an event that it's I can't speak. It's called the fuck ups or something like that. And it basically tells you all of the mistakes that you made, but how you learn from them. So he's going to do a session very similar to that about mistakes that he made in business and how they kind of overcome those challenges. Like when you look like you're growing your system and it looks like it's going really well, but in the back end, everything is getting screwed up. And so we're going to bring other franchisors who have made some big mistakes, but still managed to thrive beyond that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. I'm excited about all three. They're all going to be really good. I mean,
What
we've
else
got
is going on,
Microsoft
man?
talking about AI and technology. I mean, like, who better to talk about AI and technology than Microsoft? Like,
Boom.
that's pretty big. All right. So, yeah. So Michael said, let's grow Canada. Look it up on our website, franchiseassembly.com, and you can see all the speakers that we have so far. All right, here's some more news. The largest franchise operator in the US that owns 2,800 locations just added 83 Wendy's to his portfolio, putting him at 277 Wendy's locations across 6 states. Greg Flynn of the Flynn Group already operates restaurant brands including Applebee's, Arby's, Tacos, Pizza Hut, and Wendy's. I cannot imagine having that many franchises. Being a
Wow.
franchisee to that many locations, but good on him.
So unbelievable. I mean, I gotta say, like as a Canadian, 2,800 locations by a franchisee, he would probably be within the top three, I think, largest franchisors if he was one in Canada. I don't even, I mean, maybe Tim Hortons. I don't think McDonald's has that many. Maybe Subway. No,
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't even know if there's a system that has 2,800 locations in Canada. I'm gonna look that up.
Well, he's not a franchisor.
No, I know. I'm just
Franchisee.
saying that he
Oh,
would be bigger than any of the
oh, I see.
franchisors.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
pretty
that's
wild.
insane.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
That's
good for
great.
him.
Yes. All right. Well, hey, last thing that's growing on. I thought this was interesting. I came across this. I think I got an email from Franchise Insights, and they were saying the top drivers for wanting their own business. So always, of course, good for franchisors. Know like what drives you. Leanne, just throw it out there. If I was to say, what would be your top driver for wanting to buy your own franchise, what would be your number one thought?
Oh, my number one thought would probably be, I mean, is like owning my own thing would be important, like entrepreneurship
So just owning one?
beyond
Okay.
wanting to make a lot of money.
Yeah. So there you go. Number one was be my own boss.
Yeah, so that's what I
That
mean.
was the number one thought. I mean, certainly, like you said, beyond wanting your own money, that was number two. I mean, yes, of course, who doesn't want to be their own boss? And we, especially people like us that have a tremendous entrepreneur spirit. But I would think, income potential would be number one. It's actually number two.
Yeah.
And
Because
and
yours would
so
be number one, would be income potential.
yeah, whose would?
Yours.
Well, I mean, I would be working for money. I mean,
Right.
it's what we're working for. Otherwise, I'd be at my house in the Bahamas, right? So, um, just kidding. Number three, lifestyle rewards. Number four, side business to supplement income. And number five, tired of climbing the corporate ladder and just wanting to get out and doing your
Mhm.
own thing. People are tired, of course, of the rat race, and they just don't want it anymore. So
Mhm.
I understand it.
Yep.
I understand both sides, and there you have it. Those are your top five drivers for individuals wanting their own business and being their own boss.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Okay, so if you want to share what's going on in your world and you have some great news or anything you feel that is relevant to franchisors, then please feel free to share it with us. We can air it on the What's Growing On segment. Just email podcast@franchiseassembly.com. Podcast@franchiseassembly.com. Do not email billings@franchiseassembly.com. I just found out we have a Billings, but yeah, that's great.
That's an
All
inside
right.
joke that
Hey, our
nobody's gonna
next
get.
segment. You know what, Leanne, you tell us what's our next segment.
Our next segment is Franchise Royals, and that is where we find something cool that we noticed on LinkedIn, whether it be a person or a company. And so we give them a little shout out. And so my Franchise Royal this week, beyond you being your birthday, your air quotes 36th birthday. Um,
Wow, so you didn't even put me in as your royal. Just kidding. Go
um,
ahead.
is my Franchise Royal is Laura Kellogg of Curious Jane and the entire Curious Jane team. They're close to Tampa based, so I got to give them a shout out. But they made the Inc. 5000 list as one of the fastest private growing companies. I thought that was very exciting for Curious Jane. Who is your
Amazing.
Franchise Royal?
So my franchise royal is actually a fellow Canadian. Smokes Poutineery is a Canadian born and raised franchise, which of course is 100 variations on poutine. I think they do have a few locations in the U.S. But yeah, my royal is Mark Cunningham, and actually the entire team. I don't know if you heard about Smokapalooza that happened last weekend, but it was awesome. They get together, in downtown Toronto, a massive amount of people, and they have like a poutine eating contest. So similar to the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, this is the poutine eating contest, and so they had a few bunch of different things. Actually, one of the things they had is they brought together anyone that was in franchising. They had like a CEO kind of eat off, and so I actually don't. I think I heard who won, but I don't remember.
I think it was Brewski again.
Oh, was it Brewski?
Hmm.
There you go. So yeah, that was kind of funny. I do remember I heard this Pam LaBelle from Business Exchange. She was telling me how, guys were sticking their heads in, as you should, in like a eating contest. You got to eat as fast as you can. And she was saying how she was trying to take them out one at a time and eat them. And I'm like, what? What am I hearing? Like, how are you going to win a contest like that? And then she realized that she was not going to win. So she took the poutine and lifted it up like this, and the whole thing fell on her face and
Oh my
shirt,
God.
and all the gravy went down her shirt. And I just thought that was fantastic. But yeah, anyways, so hey, congratulations.
Yes.
And sorry, outside of the CEOs, they do then do, they get these people. I mean, you don't have to be big, but they get all kinds of people that can eat it and have a winner there. But they were able to raise over $100,000 for the We Care organization. And I just thought that was phenomenal. So good job, Mark Cunningham and team.
So good.
You guys rock. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. That's right. All right. Before we get started on our show and tell segment, please take a moment to learn more about our sponsor, Architect. Managing multiple franchise locations? Meet Maestro by Architect, your ultimate business intelligence solution. Gain a centralized view of your entire network, leverage predictive analytics, and make data-driven decisions to boost productivity and profitability. Seamlessly integrate with QuickBooks and automate tasks like royalty payments. Trusted by successful franchises, Maestro transforms operations across retail, healthcare, education, and sports. Visit architect.com and take your franchise to the next level.
All right, so we are back to our favorite segment here, show and tell. Well, it's at least my favorite segment. I know, Leanne, what's your favorite segment?
This one,
Okay.
but only
Okay,
when we have Jam here.
Oh, here we go. So show and tell, of course, was where our guests dropped some franchise knowledge around their industry. In this case, identifying and understanding the digital tools that franchisors need, best practices, ideas, thought leadership, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Our guest, the one and only Jam Hashmi. Jam is the CEO and co-founder at FranchiseSoft and CEO of Clicktecs, is a seasoned expert with over 20 years in the franchise industry, has a wealth of experience from franchise sales to building a digital marketing agency and developing a franchise management software used by nearly 200 brands. Jam, welcome on and welcome aboard.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate you having me on. And that's quite an introduction. It almost was like if I wrote it myself.
Yeah.
You made yourself look really good.
I was trying, I mean, we do have a great view on the other side, but you're stuck watching the back wall.
Yeah, it was a cool view. Where do you live, Jam?
So I'm in Toronto Pearson Airport, and right by Toronto Pearson Airport, in a little town called Mississauga, in Canada. So if you ever come down to Toronto and you land, I'll probably see your plane landing, and then we're probably 5 minutes away from there. That's where our office is.
Well, I'll be in Toronto in a couple weeks.
Okay. Yes. And
Look for my plane.
Having an amazing event in November that I'm going to be at. And in fact, a lot of franchisors are going to be at. I see there's a lot of buzz going on about that event on LinkedIn. So looking forward to that.
We're very excited.
Are you dropping by the Toronto Franchise Show, Jam?
You know what? I may, depending, I may just kind of, get there, kind of do a little walkthrough. We've got a few different clients that are there. I may say hello to them, and then of course hang out with you guys for a bit too.
Awesome. No, I know you usually do, but with Leanne coming, I figured you might stay away.
Listen, I'm here. I'm on the podcast. We've got some questions ready to go, so she can't be mad at me for anything. I mean, I think I've done what I'm supposed to do here.
Yes, no, you're doing great. All right. So you're my go-to guy for all things digital technology, website, CRMs, and for many years now. So I appreciate that. But so today, let's talk a little bit about technology and franchise sales CRMs. So how have they changed over the years? And how can they benefit franchisors? I know franchisors get confused when they're trying to figure out which one's the right round for them.
I'm going to take you way back to 2001 when I was selling franchises or awarding franchises. I worked for a franchisor for about 12 years and placed about 600 locations for them in a lot of different countries. And they were leads that were coming in through a fax machine at that time. Like we would wait by the fax machine. And when the lead came in on a piece of paper, we would literally go and take that lead. We'd make notes on that lead and then be able to enter it into like I used an ACT database at that time. I remember, so old, where we could add some notes and things like that, basic functionality. And it's funny, I used that example because the other day, one of my employees asked, he said, do we have a fax number? And I said, why would we need a fax number? Like, who uses a fax today? And they laughed. They said somebody was asking, and I said, well, we don't have a fax number. Tell them to just take a photo of it with their phone and email it to me. But I remember that back in the day, very basic CRM system. And then as I kind of went through, or as the technology evolved and we started using different types of tools, we went through Salesforce. We went through a custom solution that was built. We used NetSuite, which is an Oracle-powered CRM. And so there's so many CRMs that have come out. Very few franchise-specific ones, may I add. So I think that there's some nuances that we have in our industry that your general CRM may not cover. But I think the biggest evolution that I've seen is the layering of automation in CRMs. So at one point, it used to just be like a database, like kind of holding things together with spreadsheets and a rubber band, like a lot of new and emerging businesses and franchise brands oftentimes are doing. But when you get to a certain stage where that's not enough and you don't necessarily have the ability to hire more people, you can use a layer of automation that really helps. And what do I mean when I say automation? Well, it's kind of like automatically triggering emails and text messages to go out as soon as leads come in, or as leads go through various steps of the franchise sales process. Being able to go out there and send out documentation and track notes and track calls and logs so that you can see what behavior a franchise candidate is doing as they go through the process. And so nowadays, CRMs also have a whole social component. So when a lead comes into the system, they're able to see what is that person doing on social media as well. So that, if they're engaging with your brand and they're making commentary or they're adding notes or they're liking stuff that you're putting out on social media, it shows a very engaged candidate. So quite the evolution. And I think probably some of the newest things coming down the pipe are the ability to have AI use some of the their large language models to engage candidates early on the process. In fact, I read a statistic that nearly 70% of your initial inquiries that go into a company are oftentimes handled by AI agents, whether that's through chat or text. And now with the ability to have voiceover, a lot of those are happening on phone calls as well. So quite an evolution, but I think that automation and layering in that the artificial intelligence is probably going to be where the next wave is going to come.
Totally nuts. I mean, going from fax machines to incorporating social media into your CRM system with your clients, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, and it's moving fast. And I'll tell you, not every brand is able to keep up because technology is evolving so rapidly. Can you imagine? We didn't really have AI as a mainstream word up until a few months ago when ChatGPT came out and everybody's like, this is a game changer. I mean, it's been around, but it was never thrown around in your casual conversation. And now we're finding that there's so many AI agents that are used in conjunction with your CRM system to help engage candidates and move them forward.
Amazing. And so speaking of the information, and you mentioned the documentation, how important is document and storage management for franchisors? Like, what are some of the best practices of organizing and securing franchise-related documents?
I mean, I think it all layers down to compliance, right? Like franchising is a very litigious industry. So you want to make sure that from a compliance perspective, you are crossing all the T's, dotting all the I's. Oftentimes you have franchisees that come in, they have a bit of an entrepreneurial mind. Yeah, they want to follow the system, but once they start getting a little bit established, now they want to try new things that may or may not be in line with the franchisor's brand standards. So an easy way to go out there and make sure that everyone is using the correct logo, everyone's using the correct video, everyone's using the correct marketing piece, the door hangers, the direct mail pieces, whatever you're doing, is to standardize the source of where people can get that information from. We shouldn't let them go out there and simply attach it from their desktop because they may have an outdated version. So what a lot of franchisors do is they house, whether it's on a Google Drive or whether it's on a Dropbox or whether it's on a franchisor management software, they house a document storage solution. They're able to go out there and version control their documents or their PDFs or their images, and they're able to grant permission to their network to be able to utilize those documentations. Very important from a compliance perspective. I've also seen a lot of franchisors put their operating documents, put their training manuals, put their code of conduct, put their social media policies and guidelines as a standard document that can be shared, and then they're able to track how many franchisees are actually engaging with that content and utilizing it.
So when they track it, like they can see if they're reading it and all of that.
And of course, exactly. If they're reading it, if they're downloading it, if there's a document that's never been downloaded and happens to be how to conduct yourself on social media, and then they're seeing their franchisees are posting all sorts of cat videos, and maybe cat videos are not what the brand wants, unless it's show me your kitties, right? But if they're finding that there's a lot of non-compliance happening, and they equate that back to the fact that nobody's reading their document, well, that tells them something that they've got to work on.
So for those of you that are listening to this via Spotify and not watching us on YouTube, Leanne is wearing a t-shirt that says "Show me your kitties" with beautiful little kittens on it.
It's from Happy Cat Hotel. Yeah, I always wear some sort of franchise related shirt on this podcast. So today's Happy Cats Day.
Okay. Friday is Happy Cats Day for sure.
Friday is Happy Cats Day. So shout out to Chris Ramo. So what kind of feature? So I would guess then the ability for these systems to be able to track and document that your franchisees are reading them and even probably signing for them is, probably better than using a Google Drive or, as you continue to grow.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say it's okay to use a Google Drive. Like it goes out there and solves it offers a solution.
Right.
I always find that, when I'm speaking with franchisors, sometimes as they've evolved, they've got a set of different systems. They've got their website registered here, but hosted here. And, they've got their documents stored here, but their password stored somewhere else, right? Like, so they've got a whole bunch of disparate systems that are not really talking to each other. And what happens is if you've got one system integrated with another system and you're updating information in one area, if that integration breaks because they decide to update and these guys don't update, well, guess what? Now you don't have a single source of truth. When you're missing that single source of truth, it's hard to go out there and keep everyone going in the same direction. And so I find that, franchise systems that can bring in a number of those elements, whether it's your franchise lead data, whether it's your franchisee management, the agreement renewals, and those kind of things, your onboarding, your training, your financial piece, your ticketing, your support, your document storage. If you can bring in a bunch of those items into a single source of truth, now you've got one place all franchisees can go, all support staff can go, and it makes it that much easier for a cohesive system to be used to manage your operations.
So when you start to look for that kind of franchise management system that's going to meet your specific needs as a franchisor, what kind of features should they be looking for? I know you just mentioned several of them, but
yeah, I did. And you know what? It's funny. There's a great conference that's coming out. Michelle Rowan runs it later on this year on the operations side. And I think, Leanne, I think you're going to be there as well. Are you? Yeah. So one of the panels that a number of these tech companies are kind of getting together on is your technology stack. And so we've had some preliminary conversations about that, and kind of just a teaser on some of the items that are going to be covered is we've got a blueprint of different features, if you want to call it that, or applications that you need as part of your tech stack. And so we find that emerging brands need some different things and more established brands need slightly more advanced solutions. Always I find with emerging brands, because we work with a lot of emerging brands, both on the ClickTech side, on the FranchiseSoft side, is that they need the franchise sales CRM. Like, you just registered your FDD, you're now able to go out there and offer your franchise. You're starting to generate some leads using, digital marketing, PR, everything else that you're doing. Now you need some type of a sales CRM system to be able to manage. So franchise sales CRM, integral part of an emerging brand's growth. Once they get that CRM system, and let's say somebody does go through the process and ends up being awarded a franchise, well, immediately you're going to need to track agreement renewals, track leases, track licenses, track business needs, track additional contacts, so you've got to have some way to go and manage that franchisee, and of course have a relationship with that franchisee, track communication with that franchisee. So you need a kind of a franchisee management component. Onboarding or opening. So from the time they sign the agreement to the time they open the doors of their business, sometimes people have 500 different tasks that need to be done. Some have to be done by head office, some have to be done by the franchisee, some have to be done in conjunction between the two. So, and some items have to be done first, and they're contingent, or the rest of the tasks are dependent on that task being done first. So you need some type of a way to track that. I've seen at a basic level, like smart sheets being used to track all of the tasks, but it's kind of like using spreadsheets and rubber bands. At some point, you need to layer in some automation, some reminder systems, and so on. And so like an opener module. Once they get open, now you need to go out there and track ongoing training, track support tickets, and then, of course, the ever important finance piece. How do you get the money, right? Show me the money. How do you go out there and calculate royalties, calculate technology fees, marketing fees? And the best part of that, how can I automate that when I send out an invoice for what a franchisee owes me, a couple of days later, an automatic ACH debit pulls money out of the franchisee's account, credits the franchisor's. I mean, if you could find that type of solution, that would be a pretty cool solution, I would say.
Awesome.
That's some great information. Yeah, no. So I mean, that's kind of our you touched there on our next question about management tools. So were any other kind of processes to streamline the launch of a new franchisee, or any other management tools?
Absolutely. One of the things that we layer in with our franchisee management piece is the ability to automate some level of communication with the franchisee. So, for example, if you know that their lease is coming up for renewal, and it's important for you as a franchisor to make sure they renew their lease, you can have automated messages going out based on 90 days before the lease renewal date. Similarly, on a more social level, if you know a franchisee's birthday, to have an automatic message go out to say, hey, today's your birthday, it's a happy birthday, and I just want to send you something from the franchisor's perspective. So often little things like that are lost because nobody's tracking that. But what if you could just build in some level of automated messaging that goes out based on dates and triggers? That really helps with the franchisee management piece. And then not to mention, tracking active status, who's in development, who's opened up already, who's terminated. Because when you update your FDD every year, you need that data. And to have it in one area where you can pull out an easy report and then use that to update your FDD accordingly, it's very beneficial.
Unbelievable. So can you do that for my life? Because like
the only
that's
thing
amazing.
you need to franchise yourself, Michael. If you could franchise yourself, we could possibly offer you a franchise solution.
Oh my gosh. Unbelievable.
Yeah. I'm not even going to make a comment. I feel like we could use that in our business.
I think we all could.
Yeah, for sure. So all of this has changed the way I think working with franchising, and I know that like franchise education, development. So can you put education and training materials and all of these things, and then they
Yeah, there's some really popular like e-learning applications out there, that some of them are just dedicated companies that all they do is do training and e-learning course creation. Fortunately for us at FranchiseSoft, I mean, we've got an LMS system built in. You can create an unlimited number of training courses. And I see franchisors oftentimes, in fact, we have one franchisor, I think he has like 200 training courses in
Wow.
the LMS, which is quite a lot. Because what they're doing is they've automated their entire training process. Not only for when, let's say, a new sales rep joins, that's going to go out there and work with franchise consultants and brokers and generate leads and work them through the sales process. So not only to train employees, to train their operational employees, to train their coaches, support coaches, and then of course to train their franchisees. In fact, some of them have also created training courses that allows the franchisee to assign training courses to the caregiver, to the store opener, to the store manager, to the cook on a new recipe. So you can actually go out there and create all these training courses. And the cool thing is not just having the training courses, but actually going out there and being able to track the activity of who's going out there and taking the course, how long did they spend in it, having the ability to have quizzes that can gauge comprehension and whether or not they're actually like learning stuff, right? So you can actually go out there and do a lot of that from the
This is probably replaced like the big binders with all of the information in the tabs, like when you used to, like when you have to learn something or recipes and.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I think, I mean, I don't know if you remember, like there was a time in school where I used to have 3-ring binders that were like 3-inch thick. Like they were so big. And I was in your head, you just like you're towing that around and then you're trying to push all that information in your head. And now it's kind of at your fingertips. And you can have huge documents. You can share that easily and you don't have to go out there and worry about throwing your back out. Carrying big binders.
And so, speaking of the operations, can you explain how franchise operation platforms aid in audits and business planning and why they're kind of critical for efficiency?
Listen, audits are so critical from a compliance perspective for a franchisor. You want to make sure people are not only using your branded materials properly, but they're, of course, sometimes you need to do an inventory audit if you're that type of franchise. Sometimes you need to be hey, surprise, this is a financial audit. We just showed up because we want to take a look at your books, right? So there's a lot of different types of audits that a franchisor can conduct. And it's not always to say, hey, Big Brother's watching, but sometimes it's just to make sure that everyone is using the best practices that is proven at the franchisor level to run and operate their franchise. And so, the ability to create audits, a variety of types of questions, whether they are yes, no, true, false, rated on a scale of 1 to 10, add a long description. So those are all important. For us, we've got the ability to not only assign audits to franchisees to do what's called a self-audit. So you can actually take a list of questions and it's a legal and compliance audit. Make sure your paperwork is in line. Make sure you have a copy of your lease agreement. Make sure you have a certificate of your insurance. So you can actually go out there and ask these questions on a self-audit, assign it to the franchisee, who can actually add notes, take pictures, and upload them in the audit. So now that audit is stored next to or on that franchisee's record inside your CRM system. So a support rep who's thinking about calling this franchisee can actually go through and say, hey, what did you pass and what did you fail in the last audit? So when I'm calling you to give you some support, I can touch on some of the areas that we know weren't up to par. Similarly, you can also have audits assigned to a field rep. So if I've got 20 different locations that are under my charge as a field representative, I basically go to those 20 locations. I've got my tablet with the audit on it. I take pictures of the logo. It's prominent. The storefront is clean. I was greeted via hello. I make those notes in the audit and submit that so that the franchisor can use that to gauge compliance in their system. So key because, again, keeping everybody in line with what the franchisor system is, because they've spent a lot of money developing it. Mm-hmm. And so they've got to go out there and have audits to make sure everyone's following.
So this question for me is really important because when I go into brands, this is one of the first things I try to implement if they don't have it already, is a ticketing system. Because I'm fascinated at the brands, and most of them are pretty emerging, but I'm fascinated at the brands that don't have some sort of ticketing system and they're just going by emails to multiple people and trying to resolve franchisee issues or requests. So tell us about ticketing systems and why they're important.
So, one of the things that I learned earlier on is when I was working for a franchisor is franchisees will communicate with you in whatever is most convenient for them, as opposed to the way you want them to communicate.
That's so true. Yep.
So they'll of course pick up the phone and call. They'll text the last person that they spoke to at the head office. They'll go out there and send emails, of course, and they'll copy 2 different people.
Mm-hmm.
They'll sometimes set up their own Facebook group or send Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp. Nowadays, I see some franchisees may even send smoke signals, right? So whatever is required to go out there and communicate with the franchisor. Now, the problem with that is a franchisee may be speaking with one support rep, and hear something, and then go to another support rep just to go out there and double check if everyone's kind of singing from the same hymn, right? This happens. And so one of the things that we always preach is have a centralized ticketing system. So yeah, it came in through a phone call, it came in through an email, a smoke signal, whatever. Create a ticket on behalf of that franchisee, assign it to the respective department. In fact, franchisees can also create tickets themselves in our system, but support reps can create franchisee or tickets on behalf of the franchisee, assign it to the relevant department. And that's not enough though, because oftentimes, somebody's on vacation, somebody doesn't get to the email in time, everyone's got a really large inbox. And so what happens is you set up a service level agreement, 2 days. If there's no response or activity on that ticket within 2 days, it automatically escalates to the manager or to the VP or to the owner or to another member of the department. If I get a ticket and I'm in the technology department, but I find, hey, this is more of an issue related to operations, I can reassign the ticket. So this allows everything to get centralized in terms of communication. And for franchisors, as they go through their rapid growth, they need to understand, where do I hire? So what better way to determine what department you need to hire than to get a list or a report that shows your 6 or 7 different departments, and you find 45% of my tickets are all seeming to come in for my finance department. Now, if I'm looking to hire someone to support my franchisees, hey, finance may be the department I may look at, because it seems to be getting the lion's share of the support requests that are coming in.
Yeah, most of the brands I work with have separate ticketing systems, or they just have one for marketing. So
Yeah.
I love the concept of having one for the whole brand.
Yeah.
And that saves the ops people, because I've seen ops people and business coaches might be a little bit different, but they're all being pulled in so many different directions. And then, marketing might need ops might need marketing. So like even you mentioned it earlier, a single source of truth for all of these requests that come in.
Absolutely.
And yeah,
absolutely. And remember, like, if all the previous tickets that have been resolved for that franchisee are listed. So if I hire a new support representative, and if there's a lot of history with a particular franchisee, and that franchisee gets assigned to the new support representative, we don't want that franchisee to feel like, hey, you're giving me someone that's a novice that doesn't understand, all the things that we've already discussed. So having all of those tickets and what's been resolved, what's been discussed, what's been agreed to as part of the franchisee's record inside of your CRM system allows that support rep to quickly go and glance through, update themselves on what's required with this particular franchisee, what was discussed. So they're never going out there and saying something that they haven't already researched.
I've also heard that a great tactic is to take all of those requests and turn them into frequently asked questions, like a library of questions for your franchisees that they can, see if somebody else has already asked this question.
Yeah, absolutely. Easy to use knowledge base. I'll go one step further. You can actually go out there and build an internal ticketing system. Upload. So if you've got these requests that have come in, as we do from a lot of different franchisees for a particular brand, load them up into an AI, and the AI agent knows how you've answered those questions before and is able to go out there and learn it all and able to respond, so that it's actually even on a chat, as opposed to just a simple read-only knowledge base. Again, the next evolution coming up.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Amazing. It's It's crazy. Talk to me a little bit about what it's all about, I suppose, at the end of the day. I know, well, maybe not for everybody, but royalty management and finance tools. Is there a way to simplify the financial tracking and reporting for franchisors?
We had a brand, had a number of locations, and they had some franchisees that were grandfathered in. They were paying a little bit lower royalties. Other franchisees, once they got more established, were paying additional fees that weren't part of the original FDD that the first set of franchisees were doing. So it was a kind of a bit of a hodgepodge of who needs to pay what, and there wasn't a standard amount, right? And not to mention that as franchisees started increasing in revenue, they had some de-escalating royalty fee structures built in. And so their finance person would spend almost 8 to 10 hours at the end of every single month just to prepare a spreadsheet with all the calculations and to get all the data right, and then spend more time sending out invoices and then following up with payments. So can you believe that, if you're at 20, 25 hours of a person that you're paying at the end of every month, and they got to do that task, not to mention the fact that there may be human error in that.
Yeah.
So to eliminate all that, I find that, at least in our system, you have the ability to go and set up whatever fees you want: marketing fee, technology fee, onboarding fee, royalty fee. Then you can actually set up percentages or flat rate fees for each one. And that's actually done at each individual franchisee level, so that you have some franchisees that may not be paying some fees because they were grandfathered in, or they were, other franchisees that have, based on the new FDD, a different fee structure. So once you kind of set that up one time, now it eliminates all the human error, because as soon as revenue is entered into the system automatically calculates all the fees specific to each franchisee and shoots out an invoice to that franchisee. And within 2 days, an automatic ACH debit is pulled. So can you believe that entire process of calculations of fees, setting up invoices, sending invoices, following up with payments, and collecting payments is actually all automated? So now it literally takes maybe 30 minutes of that franchisor's finance person look at the report that's already generated to say, yeah, well, I decided I'm going to give this guy a little bit of a discount because he talked to me, make some adjustments, and hit send. And so invoicing, calculations, and payment processing all can be done actually within our system.
Wow. That's a huge game changer, I think, for brands.
Makes life so much easier, because why, you don't want to necessarily go out there and pay for a lot of extra resources when you can just automate that as part of a system. Not to mention that all of that data is, again, stored in one single source of truth.
No, that's very cool. Well, we only have no more time left. And you could talk all day because you're so smart. And this was only the technology fran dev side of it. And you've got so many more other things that you've got your hand in, and digital marketing and like websites, SEO, and all of that good stuff. So maybe we'll have to have you on for a whole other side, or we'll just have you speak at all of our events.
I think I am talking a little bit about, that franchise sales process and kind of what I learned when I was doing it, and how you can layer in some automation that can help you essentially do the work of a full department simply by having one person and a really strong CRM with your automations built in.
Yep. It's going to be a great session. So we'll see you in Toronto. Until then, how can people find you?
So you can look me up on LinkedIn, Jam, Jam, like peanut butter and jam. Although apparently in the US it's peanut butter and jelly, it's not peanut butter and jam. But it's Jam Hashmi on LinkedIn, or email jam@clicktecs.com. And that's probably how you can get a hold of me.
Very cool. Well, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, both of you. I hope you guys have a great Friday, and I'm going to see you guys in Toronto pretty soon.
Yes.
Love it. Thanks for coming on, Jam. Unbelievable. Well, that has got to be one of the most informative sessions we've had so far. Love it. For those of you that are not tuned in or tuning in, yes, you better follow Jam on LinkedIn. He's always happy to help. I've known Jam probably for over a decade now, and always one of the first guys to jump in on anything he possibly can. I love that session. Leanne, tell us a little bit. What did you learn? Tell me something new you learned today.
Oh, something new I learned. Oh gosh, I think the automation of having like the learning management system, having people go through all of that and being able to track it, I think that's pretty cool.
Yes, yeah, it definitely is. And thanks for asking what I've learned. So I've learned that I need more jam in my life to, to help
Everybody needs
me.
more jam in their
We'll
life.
need more
Yeah.
jam.
Oh my goodness, I love it. And you know what? I'm truly super stoked that you're going to be coming and giving a class at Let's Grow Toronto. So for those of you, and we'll tout this again, but for those of you that haven't signed up for Let's Grow, come on out and see Jam live and in person in Toronto, November 6th and 7th. Okay, so if you like what you heard, as always, please give us a 5-star review. It really helps us to grow, and you can subscribe on Spotify and on YouTube. And Leanne, are we on Apple Play yet or no?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Soon.
Okay.
We need one more
Anyway, so-
listener to get us over the edge.
Oh, okay. One more or a few
One
more?
more.
What do you mean? I thought we hit like the 10,000 mark. That wasn't enough?
We're close.
Oh, okay. Anyways, okay, so we'll see you in a couple of weeks, or you'll see us, I suppose. More unfiltered news and education from both sides of the border. In the meantime, here's what's on our calendar for the final segment of our podcast, Franchise Mingle, which I lied. You know what? Maybe Franchise Mingle is my favorite because it... No, I think it's just franchisemingle.com. One day when Jam, we own franchisemingle.com. We're looking for ideas on what we can do with that. So if you have ideas, you see you're a smart guy, let us know.
We'll talk about that for sure.
All right. So upcoming, this is brought to you by the National Franchise Show. Save the dates. We have, again, both sides of the border. We have Tampa and Toronto happening on the same weekend. September 14th and 15th. We have Philadelphia as well in September, happening September 28th and 29th. Atlanta and Jacksonville franchise shows happening in October, and Pasadena, our Southern California franchise show, happening in November. If you are looking for more leads, quality leads from any of those areas, then reach out and we'll get you some more information. Franchise Springboard coming up September 18th through to the 20th, also in Philadelphia. Jam had mentioned FBR's Operations Summit happening October 22 to 24 in Denver. And then, of course, Let's Grow Canada. We are taking registrations and sponsorships. I think we're almost full with sponsorships, but we might have one or two more November 6th through to the 7th in Toronto. Our Hello Mastermind Retreat in Asheville coming up December 3rd to the 4th. And before I bore everyone, our last event is Let's Grow Dallas happening February 2nd through to the 4th. There's a few events in there in between, but Dallas is open as well, and open for registration and sponsorship. And of course, looking forward to that one as well.
All right. This episode is brought to you by Franchise Assembly, Subtle Strauss, Architect, and the National Franchise Show. Hey, Karen Wenning, take us out.
Franchisors love Subtle Strauss because we protect their brand standard across all marketing channels. Z's love our marketing platform because they can customize, print, download, and mail brand right collateral for their local market in minutes. Want to see how it works? Connect with me, Karen Wenning, on LinkedIn.